Y'all, it's KB, and I love movies. Continuing with the spooky season, continuing with the conversations. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching us on the replay. If you've been here before, welcome. If it's your first time, welcome. So, doing 31 conversations in 31 days. It's going well. We're about a third of the way through. And I'm also on a little bit of a quest to make sure that I have had conversations, at least one, sometimes two or three, with all of the Lost Girls. And I think I'm almost there. I'm going to go to the comments real quick because I saw a little intro from the monkey to the spookiest Lost Girl in the bunch. Depends on who you ask. I'm sure your picks tonight will frighten us, and that is no hunch. May your time in the conversation be as wonderful as you are as a person. Welcome, Miss Jess. But I got you on mute now.
Oh, now you got me on mute. Thank you.
You're good.
We were just
You're
talking
good,
about that.
How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well. How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm glad to have you on. Um, I've been wanting to get you on for a while, and when I started putting a list of guests to have on, I was like, perfect timing.
Yeah,
Perfect.
perfect. Great way
Perfect.
to introduce me to your channel.
Yes, the motif is always there, so
Hmm.
this is a beautiful way of doing this. I have an incoming guest, so I'm going to put myself on mute for a minute.
Okay.
Come on down. She doesn't want to be on camera. Mrs. KB is camera shy. Thank you, my dear. I'll switch you out. Here.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know what you meant.
Thank you. Fresh glass of H2O for me for this conversation. All right. So yeah, how's it been with this season? It feels like certain horror fans, whether you're into the spooky, creepy, or just straight gore and slasher all year long, it's like it's kind of like I liken it to like the gyms in January. You know, the people who go there all the
Hmm.
time and they see the New Year's resolution people coming in, they're just rolling their eyes. So it's like everybody's with their pumpkin spice lattes and their scary movies in October. And then I picture you over there just rolling your eyes. It's like, come on, talk to me
Yes.
like in March, like
Hmm.
talk to
No,
me about some classics.
that's such a great analogy, because it is this is like my vacation sort of. Like I just take
Mhm.
I step back just a little bit, just let everybody have their moment. And then once November comes, it's like, okay, you know.
It could be me again.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
this is the time when you could like get into your rom-coms and watch your Mean Girls and all that stuff, and then just have
It's
that balance.
yes, exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, so conversation, if you've seen it before, we start with a non-movie question, then we get into the movie stuff. For this spooky season, we've been taking my 5 takes, the 5 questions I ask at the end of every conversation, and just doing a remix focusing on the spooky and the creepy, not always necessarily the horror, because if you know a good spooky or creepy movie, it doesn't have to be a horror movie. We've seen
Hmm.
examples of that so far. But yeah, we'll spend a lot of time talking about the movies and then a few other questions, and it's another night in the books.
Nice.
So, um, my non-movie question is, I I see the affinity for a certain type of music from the 80s, and
Yes.
I put it in the IG story because
Hmm.
I've seen stories of yours on Instagram and posts that you've made, and it's like you are gone. Put on some Sisters of Mercy, put on some
Yes.
Easy and the Banshees, and you disappear.
Yes.
So,
It's like a trail. If you see a trail of like dust, it's like there goes Jess.
I love it because, you know, I grew up in the 80s. I'm an 80s
Hmm.
kid, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. So that was my exploratory time. That was my time to get out of like the R&B and soul and rap music I heard outside and get into alternative music, get into pop music. because it wasn't playing in my neighborhood. And as I got older and went to college and, you know, working with guys in a stock room, listening to SOD and, you know, bootleg Metallica and all this, just learn all this different music. So for those that don't know, maybe they don't follow you on Instagram, they should.
Mhm.
Tell them what music from the 80s, early 90s as well,
Mhm.
that you love the most.
Goth music. You know, goth music like Bauhaus, Sisters of Mercy, Susie and the Banshees. That is like I absolutely love that, and it's the same type of I can't talk. Same style like that trickled on to the 90s. So that's really my foundation musically of what I'm into is that sort of like dark wave industrial like you know post punk genre from the 80s.
Yeah. And it's amazing because from that, it kind of like, I don't know, just spoke that in so many different directions. Like you mentioned,
Hmm.
a lot of people went from industrial to garage. A lot of people went from garage to garage house into house music in the 90s, early
Hmm.
90s. Um, Other people just went hardcore, and that's how you got like, uh, who's a good example? I can't even think. Rammstein or someone like that. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of different subgenres that just spoke out from that time and that era of the music, and I love it because I used to DJ. So sometimes, you know, you're hanging out with people and you got a night off, and they say, "Let's go to this club," and you're like,
Hmm.
"I never heard of a club," and it's kind of like Stefan on SNL, the hottest nightclub in New York, and you just don't know what you're walking into. But if you're open to it, it's really beautiful because you could get into a lot of new music that just hits you in a different way. So
True.
yeah. So I totally understand when I see those posts and I'm like, she's gone. She is gone. I'm like, I get it. I get it.
Mhm. Thank you.
Um, as always, we are not alone. Thank you for everyone who is watching. Thank you for everyone who's popping up in the chat already. We got some people on the check-in. We got Emmett. I will come back to your questions. He
Hmm.
has some questions for you. Just to
Okay.
talk through these real quick, we got Brother Dell in the house saying, "What's up?"
Hey.
You got Gunchi, and I will always say this, Gunchi from Taiwan, checking in. Good morning, sir. We got Corey in the house.
Hey,
Yes.
Corey.
Hope it's a good one. I think it'll be a good one. So thank you for joining us. We got Steve in the house. We got my best friend Melissa. Hello. We got John Doe Juggalo. What's up, my
Hey.
man? Everyone in the chat. Is Mel going to be next? Mel was actually the first one, I want to say.
I
Yeah,
think you've had Mel on already. Hmm.
twice. Because
Hmm.
when I did spooky season last year, she came back and did an episode on her favorite final girls, which
Hmm.
was really interesting because I think people just think of horror movies when they think of final girls. But I mean, Linda Hamilton in Terminator is a final girl.
Exactly.
You know, it's not just Jamie Lee Curtis or whoever you want to think of when you think of final girls in horror movies. So, yeah, that was a good one. So, I think Mel was my first repeat guest. And since then, even up to this week, I've had the twins on as well. Uh, Coco came on with Brian, and Brian was on earlier this week, and he recommended Coco to come on solo. So, Coco, if you're watching, we need to make that happen. And soon. Who else? I had Susan on. That was a big episode. And who am I missing?
Michelle.
Oh, of course, I had Michelle on. She's a
Yes.
sweetheart.
Hmm.
She's a sweetheart. Talking about sweethearts, there's mine. Hello,
Hey,
my
Caprice. How
darling.
are you?
We got Jeff in the house saying good evening. Um, Emmett has a whole bunch of questions. Emmett's going to run the show tonight just based on his questions. I don't have to ask you anything. People saying hi to each other. We got Holland Oates in the house.
Hey.
We got the Huckster in
Hey,
the house.
Huck.
Let's see who else. There's Mika
Hey,
saying
Mika. Hey,
what's up.
Kara.
We got Culture Trini in the house.
Hey.
Got the Yankee on tonight. Salute. Let's see. We got Nadia in the house. How are you doing? You've been on my mind. Hope you are feeling better. Love the spooky background. I'm digging it. Thanks for stopping in. We got Tina in the house. Can't say at the moment, but wanted to like and comment. Thank you for stopping by. It's a busy lady there, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Um, what is this? Y'all be doing Nick Cave? I don't know. Oh
Yeah,
wow,
Nick came into bad seats.
we got Benicio. What's up, my man? Yo, hit me up on IG. We need to talk. Seriously. Um, yeah, Terminator is horror. I could get with that. I could get with
I
that.
could see why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
It-
get behind that.
yeah, it's kind of like the conversation we have between Alien and Aliens. One is
Hmm.
more horror, the other one's more sci-fi action. So yeah, definitely. It definitely was horror for her in that first movie. All right. So let's get into these questions.
Sure.
These are always interesting. So the first one I have for you.
Okay.
Oh, before I do that, let me get to Emmett's questions. I totally
Okay.
forgot. I feel bad. First thing he wanted to know was, are you going to do tomorrow? Do you believe 13 to be an unlucky number? Are you superstitious? What are you doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm supposed to be doing a haunted ghost tour tomorrow evening
Hmm.
with some of my girls.
Mhm.
And I do not believe it is an unlucky number. I think tomorrow's going to be a very lucky day. So I'm not superstitious that, if Friday the 13th is bad. I think it'll be very lucky, but those are my plans. I have a ghost tour tomorrow evening. That's really
Yeah, it's going to be a great day for Taylor Swift, so we know that.
it.
He also asked, what made you fall in love with spooky season and horror?
I've always loved Halloween since I was little.
Mhm.
And, I started watching horror when I was little as well. It scared me. So, and ever since it just like stuck, even though sometimes it would make me cry and, want to go home. It's just always resonated and stuck with me since I was little.
Nice. Well, that's a great transition into my first question, which is,
Hmm.
name the horror movie that made you fall in love with the genre. It may not have been your first one, but which one was it?
It was a Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. That's what it's
Really?
called, right? Yes, that was the
Yeah.
movie. That was the movie. I was transitioning. It was the summer transition between second and third grade.
Uh-huh.
Um, I had that movie like on a VHS tape that
Yeah.
was recorded. And so I watched that movie every single day. I was not scared. I mean, there were certain parts that made me like, get, just like want to ball up or, like in front of the TV.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not think it was scary. It was funny to me. I thought Freddy Krueger's character was hilarious. So that's where it started. And then, then you've got like the other, like more kid friendly, like horror movies, like Addams Family, those sort of things. But that was the one movie that really made it stick was Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Because I just
Yeah.
thought it was hilarious. And I'm like, like it just, it scared me, but it didn't scare me because it's like, don't fall asleep. And, I never ever thought Freddy was going to come kill me in my dreams. I never ever thought that when I
Right.
watched it. I knew it wasn't real, but just the one-liners he had in that movie, where like at the end where she sticks like the piece of dynamite in him and he's like,
Mhm.
kids, and then he just like blows up. I mean, hilarious. Or
Yeah.
like when that one guy is falling at the beginning of this, like at the beginning of the movie, or he's asleep and he's like falling and falling, but his like shirt is like a parachute and it's just like falling, and then Freddy's like holding on. He's like, he's like with his blades just cutting
Yeah.
the straps, and then he disappears, and he's like pushing that bed of nails. Sorry,
There you
and
go.
then he's like, after he's done, he's like, like it was like such a workout for him, and then like the guy ends up just dying. So it's like that movie to me was hilarious. It was funny. He just had,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's it's one. It's probably one of the most terrible ones in the franchise. But I
Hmm.
could see as a kid that would be a great kind of like entry into it because it's not really horrifying,
Mm-mm.
but the comedic elements by that point, he was more of a media darling than he was like a slasher that you'd be scared of. And I
Hmm.
think that was a mistake in like Robert Englund would just say yes to anything and everything. Can you show up on MTV? Yeah. Can you show up at this appearance? Yeah. Even to this day, he's at so many cons and everything like that. He just loves being the character. And I think the writing just reflected that as the movies went on because 1 and 2
Mhm.
were probably the horrifying ones, and then they let them be more, like you said, comedic and less terrifying by the time you get to 3. 3 is a lot of people's favorites. So you
Yes,
have
it
that
is.
welcome to primetime line in 3,
Mhm.
and then from there it just went right there.
Mhm.
It just went
Mhm.
off from there. More people checking in the chat. We got Nick, Movie AB Impulse. He says, "My wife and I love Friday the 13th, just not the franchise." Yeah, I'm with you. Those Friday the 13th movies were great for date night when I was younger, but I don't know. I can't rewatch them too much now. It's not the same. Is Santa Cruz, aka Santa Clara, your dream town you would live in if given the chance, or would you? Which would you pick?
Okay, that's the town from The Lost Boys.
Uh huh.
Hmm,
That's a good question.
that's a very good question because it makes
Yeah.
you think. I'm not a beach person, so I probably wouldn't pick there. Like,
Hmm.
I would have to think about that.
Yeah. That's
That's
that's a
that's
good
a
one.
question. It's a really good question.
Look at that. You got some Instagram story content if you want to come back and answer it later on.
There we go.
Ironically, Huck is watching the first Nightmare right now. Enjoy it. It's always good. Mika said, so cool. Tomorrow's Friday the 13th. Bring on the shenanigans. That's right. What
And
up? What up?
Saturday we
What
have
up?
an eclipse.
Yeah. Is it a, no, it's not a blood moon. Is it?
No.
No. What up, Jerry? Jersey in the house. Good to see you. Is there any truth to Blumhouse doing Friday the 13th? I hope not. I really hope not.
There's
It's time for new characters. You realize it's been 40 years in some case. Friday the 13th, 1980.
mhm.
So 40 years plus. That's enough time. I mean, these characters need to develop into new ones. That's why, like, I love to see how popular Art the Clown is getting from like the Terrifier movies,
Mhm.
just to have some variety, just to have someone new for sure. Benicio's not with the B2. I love it. Funny enough, they both live in California. Both people
And
here
can go
saying
to
they hate
hell.
this. Yeah, they go to hell. Funny. I love the beach. I give me a vacation choice. Mountains, this, that. Nope, beach. Take me back to Aruba. I'll say that all week. Okay, this next question is where we're going to spend the majority of the time. I put
Okay.
this ahead of time to Miss Jess, and she turned in some gems, which we're about to share with you. So, number 2, name some of your favorite spooky or creepy movies, and I'll let you start.
Okay. We'll start with this one. This is one of the ones I picked, and it is R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour. And it also has a famous, villain, I guess you could say. You can't see his picture there, but it's got Tobin Bell from Saw. Where is he? Right there.
Mm-hmm.
So he plays a role in this movie. Um, when I put this on, I thought it was going to be just another kitschy kind of like kid friendly horror, but it was actually really well done. If I was like 10 or 12 and I watched this probably would have been a great introduction to horror for me if I was like around this age. Because even as an adult, I really enjoyed this. It's really dark, it's really creepy, and it's a really well told story. I mean, despite the fact that it's, of course, R.L. Stein. So essentially, she reads out of this book to her little brother. She's like the new kid in school. People are picking on her, but she reads out of this book. It's called The Evil Thing, and it says, "Do not read aloud." But she reads the book aloud, and so all night, it's just like this whole little like, like what's going to happen to us all night, trying to stop from the evil thing from happening. That's all I'll say. I won't give away the ending, but they do read it. I would say this is like the Evil Dead for children because it
Ah,
involves the book.
yeah.
So this is like the Evil Dead version for kids. And
So,
it's probably one of the better R.L. Stein movies because, some of them can just be kind of very hokey.
mhm.
There's a little hokiness to this one, but it's really, really, really well done. I would say, if you haven't seen this, like definitely watch this. It used to be in like the $3 bin at Walmart, but
Yeah. So
it's
it's kind
really
of like
good.
Goosebumps meets Evil Dead in a sense.
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm Kind of. Yes, I would say that's a good one. That's a good analogy.
Yeah. That's the only one I couldn't find, and I was a little disappointed because just from the synopsis, I was like, "Huh, this sounds interesting." And once you see, I think the twins say it here.
Hmm.
Applause for R.L. Stein,
Yes.
memories unlocked. It's kind of like when you see that name, it just takes you back to childhood memories and probably your earliest forays into the genre as far as loving ghost stories and different iterations of the books and everything like that. So yeah, I could see that. What else you got for us? What's next?
What's next? Okay. We'll do this one. An 80s classic, we got Fright Night.
Yes.
So we got this one. I actually watched this for the first time recently, just because it's like one of my blind spots in like, in the horror genre. It's very 80s. And so
Yeah.
whenever I watch anything from the 80s, I try to just, phase out anything that I've heard about it or, just other people's opinions to form my own. And
Mhm.
it's a nice little vampire story. I love vampire stories. And
Same.
of course it's got Chris Sarandon, right? That's how you
Yeah.
pronounce his name. The
Yes.
voice of Jack Skellington.
Susan Sarandon's ex-husband, as I call him.
Yes. There you go. I did not know that. That's a good fact
Yeah.
to know. Nice. Did not know that.
He is a lot of my lady friends and also my male friends of the gay persuasion would say he is a very sexy man. So especially back then, and of course,
Oh, he is very good looking in this movie.
yes, and of course you have that vampire mystique of the romanticism and the sexual attraction and everything. So that is all in there. So not going too much into the story. God help you if you haven't seen Fright Night yet, but the ability to take someone who's formerly prudish and make them explore and open up to him and everything. So yeah, and it's funny anytime I see a movie where any tropes that we have about monsters, whether it's a lichen or a vampire or whatever it is, and the tropes are just like, nope, that don't work. It always calls to mind like, hey, you can't believe everything you see in the movies, even if you're in a movie. So I have to ask you, I could not be the Rad Pack manager, knowing that this is a continuous conversation with them. Fright Night or Lost Boys?
Lost Boys.
Yeah. Yeah. I just have so much nostalgia for that movie that even if Fright Night is technically better sound, whatever, there's something about Kiefer as David in The Lost Boys, and there's something about the Coreys being in the movie, and you still have a little bit of comedic element in
You
there as
do.
well, all the way down to Grandpa and everything. So I don't know. I'm just Lost Boys all the time, but I do agree. Fright Night is a great movie.
It's a great
So
movie.
yeah, but all this time you haven't seen it. I'm surprised.
I swear I might have seen it, but when I put it on, I'm like, I don't remember this movie at all.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was a blind spot for me. So
Huh. Yeah. Great pick. Yes.
thank you.
Classic pick. Love the 80s and this film so much.
It's really
There's
good.
there's one of the people I was talking about. There you go. Fright Night, one of my favorites. So sexy. Yeah. Yes. Let's see. Christopher Pike. Yeah.
Yes, so he's
Yeah.
another one.
There you go. Vampire sexiness. You know what's up. Jason Patrick and Kiefer. Come on. Yeah. It's a
Yep.
tie. Wow. Between the yeah, put in the chat. Which one do you prefer? Do you like Fright Night or do you prefer the Lost Boys? And
Oh,
there
good
has to be
debate.
a winner. One or the other. Just throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat. I like that. Yeah. I wish Lost Boys had the original cover on it though. Kind of
For the
like
4K?
yeah, kind of like the Lost Girls.
Mhm.
uh there's go ahead. Go to your next one unless you have something else to add to Fright Night.
Oh, okay. Next one, we're gonna go with this one. Dead Silence.
Okay. We definitely need to talk about that one because
Okay.
that's one that I ended up rewatching. Like I watched it when it first came out,
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was dumb when I first watched it,
Yes.
rewatched it, and I don't know if it's well, I'll get to it. Let me just check in since I asked everyone to
Okay.
put in the chat. Let's see. When I saw Fright Night in theaters, he instantly became the coolest. It's very true.
Yes.
It's very, very true. Forget George Hamilton. He was. Kara says Lost Boys. Holland says Fright Night. Lost Boys. Lost Boys. Fright Night. My man Eric says Lost Boys hands down. So his wife will say Fright Night. Oh, you're so Fright Night over Lost Boys. Okay.
Seems
Lost
about
Girls.
even. Lost
Yeah.
Girls. There you go.
Yeah. True winner right there. Fright Night. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Much better on the replay. Dead silence. I hate dolls and clowns. Just saying. Yeah. Give a quick synopsis of Dead Silence for those that don't know.
Okay. So this guy finds his fiance, right? It's his fiance or his
Yeah.
wife. It's his fiance. He comes home and he finds her dead after she opened the box with this doll in it. And so he takes it home to like where his hometown is, and you know, it's just like weird things keep happening that you're just like, what's going on here? Like, you know, you're thinking like, okay, you think you have it figured out, but you don't. That's what I like
Mm-hmm.
about this movie. You
Twist.
think you have it figured out, but you don't.
Twist.
So, and then when you get to the end, you're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I thought when I first watched it. I like the twist. It's not what you thought. And then even watching it again, like, you know, fairly recently, I still thought the same thing. This to me is such an underrated, you know, doll movie, like creepy, haunting doll movie. It's like, I would say it's a ghost story mixed with a doll.
Yeah.
I mean,
With a
if
little
that's
bit
in
of a crime thriller thrown in
yes,
there too.
yes, exactly.
Del
But
says
yeah,
he just saw it a few weeks ago. He didn't enjoy it, but great ending. I
well,
think
that's fair.
that saved it for me was the
Hmm.
ending.
There are
And
times where it does, like, you know, fall short, like in the
yeah,
storytelling, because you're like, you could edit out at least maybe 10 minutes of this movie, and it would
true, true.
still be good.
I'm probably in the same camp as Del the first time I watched it, but
Hmm.
then I picked up on things like the second time on the rewatch. So kind of like behind the scenes. So this is the Lee Winnell, James Wan writing directing combo. This is
Hmm.
the first one they did after the first 3 Saw movies. So they
Yeah.
did Saw 1, 2, 3, then they did this, and then down the
Hmm.
road they got into Insidious and all that stuff. But if you
Yeah.
know
Story
that,
by James Wan. Hmm.
yeah, if you know that Saw look, that desaturated, cool, but kind of creepy, cool gray look,
Hmm.
this movie has that for those of you
It
who haven't
does.
seen it. So there's that familiarity. I picked up on that. I also picked up on their fascination with the name Billy. So
The
the
doll's
same,
name is Billy. Yeah.
yeah, just like the puppet. What else? Oh, the lead guy. I had to write down his
Uh,
name because I
yes.
don't remember him. His name is Ryan Quanten, and everything I've seen him
Hmm.
in, he looks dopey.
He
Like,
does, because he's the guy that's in True Blood. Now that I look at the back picture,
yeah,
he's
and he's
He's
dopey in
Jason
that too.
Stackhouse.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's dopey in that too. And
Hmm.
it's not even. I don't mean to insult the man, but he just looks like he's not sure of everything going on,
Hmm.
and it
He
it
looks like
plays
he's
in
reading
here.
off the cue cards, like when you like,
Yes,
yes. So,
yes. So he has that look, and it plays well into this movie because I don't think at any point he stops and thinks, "Am I doing something that makes sense, or is this just going to make the situation worse?"
hmm.
I mean, it kind of comes together at the end for him, but at the same time, it doesn't.
Hmm.
So once again, the twist and the ending and everything with the puppet and the history and everything involved, it's really it's better on the rewatch. I'll just say that. I enjoyed it
Hmm.
better this time than I did in the past. What's up, Magic Hands? And thanks for stopping in. We're just talking Dead Silence here.
Yep.
What else about the movie that made you pick this one?
It's a lot. Well, I do like doll movies, but
Mhm.
um there's a little like when we were watching this, I was actually watching it with my sister, and it just always will remind me of her because we were watching it technically in this room.
Mhm.
Um, and then we had the door closed, and then all of a sudden, my husband just like I knew what he was doing because he said just, I just knew. The door was like slowly opening, and we have like this creepy looking doll that we keep in our garage. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, like he just like slowly started to like put it through like the crack of the door, like slowly. And then all of a sudden, I lost my hearing because my sister was just screaming at the top of her lungs like during this movie, and I'm like this, and I'm just laughing because I knew it was going to happen. Because at this point I had already seen it with my husband, and my sister was like, I
Mhm.
want to watch it, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch it with you. And then we were kind of in on it. So I always had to pick this one because it scared her, and I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. It has, I mean, if you haven't seen it, like I said, with the desaturated look, and for a lot of people, dolls are creepy. It's so funny. We were watching an old movie, like a 70s or 80s movie, and there was a guy who had a ventriloquist, and he had the
Mhm.
dummy, and immediately, without fail, both my wife and I said, "Oh, that's creepy." And
Dolls are creepy.
it's just like the first thing you think of. Like, there are comedians who are, ventriloquists, and they work with the dummy, and people laugh at that. Other people like me, I'm like, "No, that's creepy. That's creepy. You're throwing your voice, that's creepy." Keanu Reeves made an amazing career off of being dopey and unsure what's going on. Hey, and then
I mean,
then came Speed.
mhm.
I think it changed from there, but yeah, yeah. What are you gonna do? That was a solid pick. I think when you have two successful franchises like Saw and Conjuring, Insidious, all that, it's hard to remember like even the good parts of your less successful movies. So I think more people need to see the in between movies. I say that all the
Mhm.
time. Like Saturday, I'm going to Carpenter Fest, and people know the Halloweens, and they know
Mhm.
the Escape from New Yorks, but not too many people know the In the Mouth of Madnesses, or um, what's that one?
Christine.
Christine, or Vampires. They
Mhm.
don't know the
Oh,
small.
Vampires is so good.
Yeah, but people don't talk about it because he has so many bigger hits. So
Mhm.
yeah. What else you got for us? What's
Okay,
another one?
next we're gonna go with this one, and it is The Hollow.
Yes.
We're
Pleasant surprise.
This is such a fun. Okay, so I first watched this and technically recorded it because it came on. It's now called Freeform, the TV channel, and like early 2000s, I can't remember what it was called because it's changed network names for so long, but this came on at like 9 o'clock at night, and it was rated R, and it was not edited for television. So
Oh, wow.
I was actually surprised that this aired on TV for and
Mm.
not being edited because you said you watched it, and there's certain parts in that movie they would have cut out.
Mhm.
And so I put this on, and it's not the best movie, but it is a fun little, like, just a fun little take on this classic story. And you have a lot of recognizable people. You've got the guy from Backstreet Boys, Nick Carter, and then you've got Judge, what's his last name? Judge Reinhold, right? He's in this. So just it it's Story of the Headless Horseman, but this one is just slightly different because as I said, Judge Reinhold is in this, and his son, I think the guy that plays him is this guy named Kevin. But anyway, they come back, they move. He's like, the coach, and he attends school, and it turns out that they're long distance relatives to Ichabod Crane, and so the horseman comes back and is trying to like take their heads essentially. So that's like the main plot of the story, but there are scenes in this where I was like, this was on TV and it was rated R. There was like a whole like oral sex thing, and I'm like, that was on TV. Like
Wow.
watching this back on DVD, and then there was like actual showing them cutting her head off, and then just blood going everywhere. So, and it does say it's rated R, I think. Does
Um,
it? I don't remember. Doesn't look. Oh yeah,
no?
it says right there, rated R
Oh, and they showed it
for They showed it exactly like you
ABC
see on this DVD
on
on
ABC
TV
Family.
on ABC Family. I think it was like called Fox Family or at the time then, but it was not edited for television. That's why they played it so late, I assume.
Yeah.
But that's how I first saw this, and then I ended up finding the DVD, and
Uh-huh.
I've had it like basically like 20 years ever since. It
Wow.
came out in the early 2000s.
It also
So
has
that Kaylee Cuoco, is that
yeah,
her name?
yeah.
Yeah, she's
I,
in
I
it.
I never watched that show, but yes. And I think you said Nick Carter,
Nick
uh,
Carter, yeah, from
Stacy
Backstreet
Keach.
Boys.
A lot of different people was in this one.
And he's actually, speaking of Carpenter Fest, you just mentioned he was, wanting to record on VHS that Carpenter Marathon that's on TV.
So I had to pull this up from the wiki for this
hmm
movie because you were talking about how they showed it unedited,
hmm
but it's crazy that they still claim that they edited it somehow. It says when it premiered in October 2004, it was
hmm
trimmed slightly to eliminate the violence of the Headless Horseman attacks, and
hmm
several of the lines had to be redubbed. So I think when you saw it on Freeform or whatever it was by then,
hmm
it was the unedited version because I think it premiered edited, but then after that it showed unedited.
Yeah, because you know how like sometimes they'll do that. They'll show like the premiere time early, and then
Mhm.
they'll show it again later. Maybe that when I watched it later, it was the unedited one.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We got second cousin Dave in the house saying, Miss Jess makes for a great guest on the conversation. We're having fun.
Thank
We're
you.
having fun. Yeah, this is a good one if you could find the DVD, Mel. It's
Yeah.
I don't
Called
think there's enough Headless Horseman stories.
No.
That's why, getting something like this
hmm
is just
I love
beautiful.
that one too, but this is just a fun little like TV. Basically, it's made for TV.
Made for TV. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the Hollow with Nick Carter.
Mm-hmm. Ah, there's your friend.
Hey Mel.
VHS. We were just talking about you, talking about when you were on spooky season last year, talking about Final Girls. So thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, it was ABC Family. Yeah, now it's Freeform. Cool.
hmm
And we had some comments about vampires earlier. Yes, very underrated.
Yes.
Yeah. Haven't seen The Hollow, added it to the watch list. If you could find it, I think they said that you could I forget where it is now, but I'm sure it's not on ABC Family. Sci-Fi
No.
Channel. It might be on
Maybe.
Sci-Fi Channel. So it's out there, or just find the DVD. That's a good one.
hmm
Yes. What else? Who else? Everyone's saying hi to Mel. I still watch a Disney cartoon. Yeah,
You said
that was a good cartoon.
it was.
It was. That's like a timeless classic. I don't hear people talking about it too often, but those who know, they know. That's
hmm
a good one. It does sound cool. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty
It's
interesting.
fun.
Yeah. I was surprised because I was going to ask you, there's another
hmm
movie called The Hollow. It's kind of like an Irish movie, an Irish horror movie that
hmm
takes place in the woods, and it has let's just say wood creatures.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about.
That
hmm
that's a thick movie too. That's a sick one. And it kind of talking about, I guess we only have one more title to go through, but it kind of talks about these type of creatures as well. So The Hollow of the Hollow, both
hmm
recommended.
Yes.
So what's your next one?
My favorite ghost story of all time, and also a recent watch.
Mm,
Not like recent, but like a couple of years. And I am going with The Changeling.
yes, that wheelchair.
Mm. I was just going to say, this wheelchair should have gotten an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
It had
It
its own
should
role.
it should have said Best Supporting Actor wheelchair. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like a couple of years ago, I watched this for the first time. And
Mhm.
this is one of those rare movies, especially a horror movie, that holds up. Holy crap, this movie scared the bejesus out of me. especially that wheelchair, which is why I say it needs an Oscar for best supporting role in a movie, because holy crap,
Mm-hmm.
just that scene. And then that freaking red ball. No. Oh my God. And so we got to, so we have a red ball in the house that my dog brought in. So
Mm-hmm.
every once in a while, my husband decides to be like, I'm just going to roll this red ball around. And, I'm sitting here like in my room, just, I think I was putting like, just sitting in here coloring. And then all of a sudden in rolls this red ball. And I'm like, stop that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff got the perfect one right here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That ball.
That's what I'm talking. The stairs. Yep.
Okay, I know this is a recent 4K, and we were just laughing and talking about us collectors who buy movies but don't necessarily watch these movies. I'm as guilty as you are. So if you have not seen The Changeling, please give them a synopsis, and we're not going to go too far, but it's so good to get into. Go ahead.
It is. Okay, so this guy at the beginning of this movie, I'll just set the scene so maybe you can watch it, or put it higher up in your watch list. But is his name? It's George C. Scott, right? Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So him and his wife, they break down, and he goes to the payphone. It's a snowy day, snow's packed and icy, and so he goes to the payphone to call for help, and like, hey, our car broke down. And then all of a sudden his wife and son are gone. They die in a horrific car accident because they were hit by the plow truck. And then so years go by, and then it's just him all alone. And then he moves out of the apartment that he shared with his wife and his son. It was a son, right?
Son or daughter? I don't remember.
I was
going to say it was a daughter.
I want to say so, but I'm thinking because of that outline there's throw me. Their kid. And this is where the red ball starts to come. Like he packs that ball, then all of a sudden he moves into this like spooky old house that, he wants to, fix up. There you go. Set the scene. And then all of a sudden these weird things start to happen. He's like, this room, and just like, where's these sounds coming from? Why does he keep hearing this child cry? And then, he invites this medium over. They do a seance, and that seance scene. Oh my God. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
If I had to say anything about this movie, for one, George C. Scott, great. I think as an adult, I appreciate him more for all the horror movies he did. Exorcist 3, on and on and on. Okay. The seance scene. Okay. Medium, spooky environment, whatever. If you have that 4K and you have a really nice sound system, surround sound, whatever, please enjoy that scene, because that is worth the price of the 4K alone. Just to hear a certain name come out of all of your different speakers, left and right, back and forth. It was like I was seeing it for the first time. Creeped me out. I was like, I didn't see it like this the first time. First time I was on a TV, two little tinny speakers coming right at me. But to hear that sound moving all over, and then the rest of the movie, so good, so good.
That red ball coming down the stairs. That's we're trying not to give too much away, but coming down the stairs and surround sound. Oh.
So when I was 10 on summer vacation at my cousin's house, didn't sleep. I hear you. Yeah, this is not a movie to see when you're too young, because there's scary horror, gore, slasher, or whatever, and then there's things that stay with you.
And like I said, I watched it recently in a couple of years, and it holds up. This movie holds up if it still creeped me out.
Oh my gosh. That ball and that seance. That's all I'm going to say. That's all you need to know.
We can't forget the best supporting actor. Wheelchair.
And the wheelchair. The wheelchair. Yeah. Should have got a Grammy and an Oscar and a Tony. Got an EGOT.
A BAFTA.
All around. Yeah.
SAG.
So even if you're home right now, just give Miss Jess a round of applause for these great titles. Great answer to number 2. I had fun doing rewatches and new watches, and if I could find that $3 DVD for Haunting Hour, I will, because you definitely sold it. Jeff saw it in the theater as a kid. That ball coming out. Oh, he ran out the
Oh
theater.
shit! Wow.
I don't blame you, bro. I don't blame you. Oh man, let's knock out these other questions real
Okay.
quick. Here's everyone's favorite. Name a horror movie that everybody loves, but you can't stand.
That's easy. It's more recent. Everybody loves Hereditary, and I hated that movie.
Really?
Really.
What was it about it without giving away too much?
I just thought the ending was stupid. It made no sense. I mean, you have hokey and you have cheesy, and it works. It did not work for this movie. For the way it ended, I'm like, it was all sophisticated all the way throughout, and then all of a sudden you have the stupidest ending imaginable. I'm like, turn this crap off. Ugh. I'm like, you had that one scene with the car, and I'm like, okay, that's how you start the movie, and then you end it like this?
Yeah. The twins laugh at me because I say that I don't want that juju in my house. I do not own a copy of that movie. I do not own a copy of The Exorcist. My wife won't have Exorcist in the house. I won't have Hereditary in the house. We have a great understanding. I saw it in the theater twice because, I appreciated the movie for what it was. But I could not shake it. Whatever it was, it stayed on me, and I could not shake it. I was like, That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
All right. Okay, you should be really good with this one. Number 4, name a horror movie that needs more love. Maybe it's streaming or old VHS DVD, never made it a Blu-ray 4K. People don't know it. People don't talk about it anymore.
Ghost Story.
Yeah.
From the 80s. That needs more love. That was again, I would say it's up there with The Changeling as far as the creep factor goes. So I would say Ghost Story.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I remember.
Where is it? I have it right. Oh, that's Ghost Ship. Hold on.
I remember the VHS when it came out.
Yeah. I have the VHS, but I also have the Blu-ray Ghost Story.
I've never seen that Blu-ray. I'm going to blow it up. I need to see that cover.
Okay. Ghost Story.
Yeah, I've never seen that cover.
It's a Scream Factory. So it's got the double artwork. It has that one. That's the
And then the original on the other side.
Yeah, then the original on the other side.
That's what I remember. I remember
that's what the VHS looks like, but that's
Yeah.
what the Scream Factory one looks like.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't thought about that one in a while, but
So
I do remember it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, like I said, it needs more love, but I barely remember it myself. I just remember, you got that scene, or I don't know if you can see it, where she's all turning old and decrepit and just aging backwards. But yeah, this one, I would say that one. I need to rewatch this again.
Yeah,
it's hard to really fully talk about it like fresh.
Yeah, me too. I the beautiful thing is I'm coming out of this with like more movies to watch or rewatch. And I'll keep saying this, November 1st, I don't want to see a horror movie. I'm going to pick up some rom-coms or go watch a straight comedy or something. Let me catch up here. Yes, she does.
Oh, thank you, Caprice.
When you had the Lost Girls episode in the slumber party and everyone was going through their picks, I was like, oh, I loved your picks. Loved it.
Oh, thank you.
No love for Hereditary. It happened. No, I love The Exorcist. I rewatched it as recently as 2 weeks ago. Mrs. KB doesn't want it in the house. I'm just respecting her wishes. But then again, she probably hasn't seen it since she was younger. So I think now that our cinematic palettes have matured, maybe we'll just watch it. I'll stream it or something. Let's see. Little sister recently visited, had to sleep under the poster. Oh, he got to make some clucking sounds for her. That would have been perfect. Ghost Story is amazing. I need to revisit that. Yes. Love Ghost Story. Fine cast. Yes. This is one I've been wanting to watch. Yeah. I need to rewatch it for sure. Thank you for everyone in the chat who's been asking questions, everyone who's been watching, everyone on the replay, of course. Before we land this plane, I have one more question. Well, actually, two. I hope
Okay.
you had fun. Did you have fun?
Yes, I had a great time.
Good, good. So finally, we ended off the same way as we always do with number 5. Now that you've been through it, who would you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel?
Let's see. Have you had, I'm trying to think of like people that, have channels, but, are just, getting started, that would really help. So that would be my answer. Anybody that's got a smaller channel just starting out and, wants to build an audience,
Yeah.
I would say, reach out to them. That would be great.
Yeah.
Just so that way they can get more acclimated with the community and be introduced and, be more of a, does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay. So that would be, so anybody, who just recently started a YouTube channel?
Wilkie's Movie and Music just started last week.
Okay, there you go. That's a great example.
I would love to have Corey on. So yeah, he's just getting started. So
and it also makes them a little bit more comfortable being in front of people. So so that would be my answer.
Yeah, I know you're 365. I get it. These are conversations we have all the time. Miss Jess is the same way. 365 lives it. But yes, David's also correct. I need a palate cleanser. Talk to me is awesome. Hey, Steven, thanks for popping in the chat. Yeah, it is 365. Very much so. Thank you for stopping by and enjoying it, Gunji. Appreciate it. Evil Dead Rise, also a banger.
Yeah. I need to see that.
I just picked up the Steelbook just because when the 4K first came out and I saw it was bare bones, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to pay all that money and you're not going to give me something extra. So I just picked up the quote unquote, I said, they're going to do some kind of special edition or reprint or something like that. And they did. So, yeah, that was one of the films I saw last year for Panic Fest. And it was like an early showing. That was fun. Thanks, Doll. Thanks you for stopping in.
Mel.
Appreciate you. Thank you for stopping in, David. Have a good night, Holland, or a good day, I should say. And yeah, this was a great conversation, Jess. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Overdue, I will admit, overdue. You're a fun part of the community, and I love to see you popping on different things. Like Emmett mentioned earlier, from movie battles to now being a part of the Lost Girls, and even your individual content. The other non-movie question I was about to ask you.
Go ahead.
And you would think, why? You should have any interest in this. But I see your videos with the Shein purchases. Are you getting into Temu on the same level?
Yes. I've ordered from Temu quite a bit recently.
Is it very similar?
It's very similar.
Kind of sketchy. Like
it's very similar.
Yeah, the way the pop-up ads were coming, like on, like whatever I was on, I was like, can I trust you? Is this like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the new Shein. Yeah.
Okay. So I'd be knowing.
Oh, you'd be knowing.
Yeah. I see the little zipper bags all over my closet, and when we went on vacation, it was kind of like, oh, just throw it in this bag. I was like, how many of these bags do you have? The little Shein bags.
The zipper. They come in handy. They really do.
They do. I'll admit it, because you could stuff a bunch of like t-shirt tops in there and zip it up and flatten it.
That's what I use mine for too.
I get the utility of it. So it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle. You're another 365er. I get it. So that everyone is starting to get the Lost Girls and other channels. Oh, I've been doing that. So yes. Thanks for stopping by, Steve. Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again to Jess. Who's coming up tomorrow? Tomorrow is going to be an interesting one because it's someone that you may have never seen before. You've seen him on Instagram. You've seen him in the chat. Everybody knows Caveman, very funny guy. But how well do you know Miss Caveman? She's a horror fan.
Oh,
So Miss Caveman will be joining us tomorrow. Same time as tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. So please stop back if you can. You got nothing going on with your Friday the 13th. You don't need to watch Jason again. Come and hang out with us for about an hour or so. And as I always say, go watch a movie. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good night.
good night.
Thanks
Good
again.
night. You're welcome.